Gina Lazenby. I'm at the home of Karen Buckley.
Hello, Gina. I'm so glad you're here today.
I called into Karen's home on Saturday morning and I wanted to talk to Karen about the incredible work she does in feminine wisdom. So Karen, you said something to me last year, do you remember? At that conference you were speaking at about feminine wisdom, and that really caught my attention. How you'd looked in the dictionary about feminine wisdom.
Yes. Well, I was interested in working with bringing them into corporations and into organizations because we weren't making good decisions. How could we make better decisions? Well, if we made wise decisions, perhaps they would take into account the generations to come. They would take into account the people. They would take into account the planet. And so I looked in the dictionary for wisdom. I found a very moderate sounding definition about being good sense and making good judgment decisions. And then I looked right below that as wise man, a discreet and prudent man well versed in the affairs of the world. Right below that I expected to find wise woman. There was nothing. In none of the dictionaries that I looked in were there definitions for wise woman, except in one, and that was in my Oxford English Dictionary that my husband brought me in 1986 when he was over in London. And it has us out in the woods making charms and other beneficent things. Basically being ineffective, out of the world, happy because we're out in the woods, but and healing in a sense. But the whole definition is really about that that we're sort of a charlatan by doing that.
More of a witch or a crone.
More of a witch or a crone, or on the fringe. You know, we're on the fringe. We're not in the center of things. Our wisdom isn't in the center of things, and I realized at that time. And then I looked at all the conferences that have all men presenters, and there was a conference on what is new in enlightenment, and it was all men presenters. What is new in enlightenment? Okay. The next in what's the newest thinking on enlightenment?
Okay. And it was only men answering that question.
Only men answering that question. I thought, how can this be? Women have such a powerful spiritual knowing. How can this be that the world does not include or notice the wisdom of women and the wisdom of the feminine thereby, since I think women possess the most of the feminine.
Absolutely. And men have access to that feminine wisdom, but everything that's feminine, everything that's softer, everything that's about nurturing, nourishment, compassion is something that's seen less than in our society. And weak. If you're soft, you're weak. And if you're uncertain, you're weak. And we need uncertainty because we don't have answers to questions, so we don't know the answers anymore, so we have to be in that exploration of uncertainty, of looking and being open, and in being open and not knowing. I mean, I know that's the place I've been in the last few years. I don't know. Before I was certain I knew, and now I don't know, and I can actually say I don't know, whereas before that would be a terrible thing to say, I don't know. I have to say I know.
It's such a position of power to say I don't know.
Because then the answer will come, and the answers now I feel are so much more complex. They come from so many different places of blending that we have to be in that softer, more yielding place of being able to take in so many strands.
Well, and if we're in the place of knowing, what we know is what we've known in the past. If we can be in a place of tracking that which is emergent, which in many ways is our gift as women. Because as women, what we do is, as soon as we've conceived a baby, we love that baby. We don't need to know what the baby looks like. We don't need to know the shape of her nose or the, how funny the ears are going to stick out. We love that baby, and we know how to nurture and care and maintain a nice circle of protection around that baby until the baby's born. And then the hormones kick in even more, and we devote our lives to caring for this baby. It just breaks our heart to go off to work each morning if that's what we need to do. So it's the same with the world now. We can't continue the world as it's been. The old structures are falling apart. The structures of companies, financial structures, the churches, so many of them are falling apart. They're not working anymore. They don't hold the kind of integrity that they used to hold. And as women, we're experiencing this yearning to make a contribution to a world that's actually going to work for our children and a future that's going to serve so many generations. We care. so deeply, and women around the world are speaking to the importance of that. They don't even know how to talk about it, but it's a calling inside to their feminine power and wisdom.
It's interesting, you know, the words coming into the language of stewardship, the taking care of. And I remember in the UK when we had a terrible problem with, I don't know, it was BSE or mad cow disease. And, you know, some people talked about the problem that had happened was the type of farming that we had and the lack of husbandry.
Yes.
And the word husbandry is being removed from the care of animals. Midwifery is another word that I think, what's her name? Soul of Money.
Lynn Twist.
Yeah. Lynn Twist used the phrase midwifing in this new world, this new economy, which is a very feminine thing.
Absolutely. Lynn also called this the Sophia century. It's the time where we're getting to know Sophia, who was the goddess of wisdom. That's who the ancient philosophers prayed to for wisdom. Philosophia. Philosophy. That's who they knew was the source of wisdom for them. And as women, we don't even know that we have wisdom. In fact, I was on an airplane recently, and I'm in the midst of writing a book, as you know, and I'm, you know, really working to articulate this. And I have so many great stories of women getting to know their wisdom and how much it matters to them and the kinds of things they're doing in their community and in their companies. And I was on an airplane and sitting next to a man who was head of the Asian division of a very large corporation. And he asked what I was writing my book on. And I said, feminine wisdom. And he said, isn't that an oxymoron? What do you mean? I wanted to leap across the chair, you know? But I realized, again, it was such a diagnosis of not only what men might think, but also what we thought of as women. We haven't known and trusted and loved our wisdom. So when women are doing that now, one of our women that we're coaching is head of a financial services organization. It's her own. She's been mentioned in money magazines. She's been very well known, but she never knew herself as a woman. She'd succeeded in a man's world. Yeah. And it's a huge price to pay. It is. It was very painful for her, and her marriage was suffering. Her relationship with her daughter was suffering, and she wasn't attracting the kind of clients that she most wanted to work with. So she came on into our Next Octave Women's Leadership Program, and she began to recognize herself as a woman. And she began to tap into her wisdom and into the innate, beautiful deliciousness that lives inside of her. She began to trust the kind of intuitions that she had. She began to trust her approach, which was to care for people, rather than to only give them a spreadsheet that worked. And all of a sudden, her business has taken off. She just got back from a trip with her husband, which was fantastically successful, because she really was present as a woman.
Creating a lot more flow in her life, and that affects the business. It makes it come to her more rather than to push and work hard for it.
Yeah.